Yo, what's up, guys? DFS Dudes here to give you my GPP core plays. I'm going to evolve the piece a little bit and start getting into more of like a GPP breakdown. And with that said, what we're going to start launching here pretty quick for you guys are some free tutorials of how to play different games. We're going to do a cash game tutorial, a GPP tutorial. We're going to get into some multi-entry, if you want to max enter contests, how you get a strategy to do that. We'll also do a bankroll management tutorial for you guys as well. Have some stuff up there, and you'll start seeing the tools start to integrate with the content on the site. And we really want to give you guys a strategy to how to be successful at DFS. This is not a lottery ticket. That's what a lot of people are doing. They're simply out there and they want to just enter 150 lineups. If that's you, that's fine. I get it. If you want to pay for a membership and you want to enter 150 lines, fine. You've got money to blow. But as a whole, to be successful with this, the overall objective is to make money. That's why people are playing it. That's why we're playing it. That's why I'm doing it. And part of the process we're going to get into is starting to teach our membership and you guys the process that we use on a daily basis um, to do this for a living every day. I've been full-time daily fantasy for about a year and a half. This is what I do, is daily fantasy on a daily basis. Roto Beast, same thing, daily fantasy on a daily basis. This is our grind. So we were going to launch some of that stuff coming up. You're also going to see the tools on the site start to evolve. Within the optimizer, you'll see On the Mound is going to evolve in the next probably 5 days. You'll see the BVP tool start to evolve in the next few days, and you'll also see the game preview start to evolve in the next few days. And be on the lookout for the remaining two tools in the optimizer to launch here pretty quick, which is the bulk save and the multi-lineup edit. So with that, let's get into the core of what we're going to try to do with this slate. Full slate. It's a large slate. There's plenty of different directions to go. There's obviously some high price pitching. First and foremost, the weather. There's nothing to look at that's serious right now. As far as weather concerns go, there are it's really hot everywhere. 90 degrees in Philadelphia, 90 degrees in Baltimore, 90 degrees in New York. The wind's blowing out to right in that Mets game. 91 degrees in Cincinnati, 98 degrees in Texas. Really hot in Texas. We've got the wind blowing in again from right. We've talked about the wind, that windshield that shifts the wind and kind of makes it blow out to right. 94 degrees in St. Louis, wind blowing out to right. Really hot. I think over the next couple of days, from the weather I've looked at ballparks, we're going to see some warmer weather for the games being played outside moving into the weekend. And hopefully we don't have too many weather concerns to look at. The pitching on this slate, let's start looking at some of it. With the warm weather, there's some guys that I really like that are playing in some more contained environments, and they're not. Two of these guys are not really sexy, and they're ranked towards the bottom of kind of the 5 guys, the 6 guys I'm looking at for this slate. But first and foremost, you've got Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole is the overall top pitcher. I think we have an opportunity to see him somewhat low owned. For one fact, there's other places to pay up for pitcher. He's kind of the third highest guy, and he's sandwiched between DeGrom and Corbin. And because he's sandwiched between DeGrom and Corbin, and there's one other factor that I'm looking at, he just gave up 4 earned runs at Tampa Bay 2 starts ago. There are game log watchers. They may look at that game log, say, he's playing Tampa Bay, gave up 4 runs. Let me go to DeGrom for 200 more, or let me go 500 more and play for Bauer. Or, let me move down to Patrick Corbin and try to squeeze some bats in. All 4 of those guys are in my top 4. I have Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, 75% quality start rate, 7.8 Ks per start. I've got Bauer third, 59, 55, 54, and 67 fantasy points in his last 4 starts. 75% quality start rate. And if you look at Bauer, not only does he have what we just cited for his previous 4 games, 59, 55, 54, 67, he's got 41, 49, 46, 64. So, I mean, you can look at him and think, I'm going to get 40 really as my ceiling here for that price tag, right? So I've got Bauer as number 3. The other thing I like about Bauer is he's pitching in Oakland. It's a 10:05 game, late night hammer for your lineups. And it's not going to be 80, 90 degrees in Oakland. It's going to be 65, 66, 67 degrees, quite a bit cooler, a better pitching environment than it is hitting environment with that weather so cool. Patrick Corbin is the guy that I've got as my 4th pitcher. He's got 2 quality starts and 2 wins against San Francisco already this year in 3 starts, 24 strikeouts in those 3 games. I've got him as my number 4 guy. He's really, for all of the upside of a Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, and Trevor Bauer, he does bring that same sort of upside to the table at quite a bit of a discount. The 5th is kind of a 5A, 5B, and that's in the San Diego-Pittsburgh game. Eric Lauer and Joe Musgrove. Musgrove has had a little bit of a rough go over his last couple starts. Eric Lauer's pretty solid. I think you can look at a floor of between 25, 28, and 30 points, somewhere in there. And he's at $6,800 and would allow you to really move up to put some bigger bats in your lineup on this slate. I think with the warmer weather, I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored on this slate. And I'm moving more. I mean, I'm going to have exposure to Bauer, deGrom, Cole, and Corbin, but I will also make sure I get exposure to some of these guys, especially Lauer and Musgrove and GPPs, that are on the lower end of it because of the warm weather. And I think that there's propensity to have a lot of runs scored on this slate. I'll get into some bonus plays when I round this out, but let's hop into the core of this thing real quick. So I'm going to go right off the bat with Justin Turner. And the reason I'm going with Justin Turner is he's 3,400. I think this is a $4,000 player. Turner just hasn't really been in a groove or gotten a hot streak coming off the disabled list. Hasn't really settled in since his return yet. But no better way to settle in than going against somebody you have ownage on, right? And 10 for 18, 3 doubles and a home run versus Anderson. It's a guy I like in a good spot. Left-handed pitcher, right-handed at bat, right-handed batter. Colorado has not been real hot. They did win the game yesterday against the Giants 9-8, but they had lost 4 straight before that, and they've lost 4 of their last 5. So Colorado's not a team that's real hot. Their bullpen is not. I think their bullpen is a little bit overrated if you look at some of the sabermetrics on their bullpen. I like the spot Turner's in, and I think he's a real good place to start this core with. Tim Anderson is the guy that I'm going to look at next, adding to this core. $3,100 for Anderson. I think he's too cheap for his recent performance. 12 for 27, 2 home runs and a double in his last 7 games. Playing in Texas, in that ballpark. The guy can hit the ball out of the ballpark. He can double dong. He showed that already this season. I think $3,100 to get exposure to that Texas, environment in Texas, and Texas is talking about trading a whole bunch of pieces. They're talking about trading Cole Hamels, and what's Texas? It looks like they're waving the flag. I like the White Sox as a whole as a sneaky stack on this slate. They're really cheap as well, and I think Tim Anderson is a real good centerpiece to any stack, and he's going to be the second piece of the core. The next place I'm going to go is to Marcell Ozuna. And Ozuna is another guy that I think is really cheap. I think he's too cheap. He's 9 of 22 in his last 7 games. He has ownage on Julio Teheran. 17 for 42, 3 home runs, 2 doubles. You're paying $3,200. It's going to be upper 90s. The wind's blowing out to right field. I know he's a right-handed bat, but still the wind is blowing out of the ballpark. Thin air, warm air. Absolute ownage on a guy, and you combine that with the fact that he's already hot and you're getting him at $3,200. His price has been all the way up to $4,000 this season already. And I think at 3,200, this is a place to get a discount and help us try to move all the way up to Bauer, DeGrom, Cole, Corbin, etc., if need be with this core. The next piece I'm going to go to is also looking for ballpark exposure. And I'm going to go to Jose Peraza, plug him into this utility spot. The thing I like about Peraza is he's also been hot, right? One, I just think that when Milwaukee and Cincinnati play together, for some reason, there's a lot of runs that tend to be scored in these games. They've had some absolute high-scoring run totals. Peraza's a guy that can steal you a base, hits to the top of the order, can hit for power, likes to drive the ball gap to gap. He has 4 stolen bases over his last 7 games. $3,200 again, I think, is really cheap for exposure to a warm environment with a guy at the top of the order who can steal bases, hit the ball to the ballpark, drive the ball gap to gap. Jose Peraza, the 4th piece to this puzzle. The last piece I'm going to go to for this core is Mike Trout. Mike Trout has not been hot. Mike Trout was extremely hot. They went on the road, and he's not been really hot, at least his last 4 games, and really going back to 5 and 6. He's not been really hot as far as the bat goes, but he hasn't had a lot of opportunities. He has continued to walk. In the series against Boston, he goes 2 for 10. He strikes out 3 times. He walks 3 times. 2 for 10 is not hot, right? But it's only a 3-game series. It's in Boston. Mike Trout is from New Jersey. It's a 2-hour drive from his hometown in New Jersey to Baltimore, where they're playing this game at. Nothing better than seeing mama when you're in a slump, maybe getting some home cooking. Mom and dad come to the ballpark. Maybe he stops sleep. I don't know what he likes to do. Maybe he sleeps at home tonight. The point is, I think that Trout comes out of it. I look for him to have an enormous game. They've got an absolute gas can pitching for Baltimore tonight. Hess is 2 and 4. It's a spot that I'm looking for Mike Trout to possibly be at a reduced ownership. He's got an inflated price. His price has not come down. He's still above $5,000. And with Mookie Betts having some ownership in his matchup tonight against CC Sabathia, I think that JD Martinez is on absolute fire. I think at the top echelon of these outfielders, you got Betts, Martinez, Judge, Stanton, and Harper. I just don't see Trout being as owned in this spot, and I think it's a sneaky spot to play him tonight. So that's why I'm going to put him as the 5th piece of the core. That's our core right there. You've got 4,250 to play with. You can move all over the place with pitcher. I think if we go all the way up to Bauer, we've probably got somewhere in the neighborhood of about $2,500. We can't get Bauer, actually. Who can we get? We can get Patrick Corbin. I have no problem with plugging Patrick Corbin in there. We can also throw a couple of value pieces in there. I'll give you a couple of different value plays that I like. Martin Maldonado and Manny Pena at that catcher first base slot. Both of them playing in environments that are extremely conducive to hitting tonight. One of them is in a game that I look to have a really high total, and that's the Cincinnati-Milwaukee game. And then the Angels have the second highest implied run total as I look at it right now at 5.6. They're in a good spot. There's also some pieces in Texas. They've got a 5.8 implied run total at the moment. There's some good spots there with some value. You've got a Joey Gallo in the $2,800 range, I think. You've got an Odor, and I think he's $2,800 or $2,900. So there's some places to get value in those spots as well. But I like Maldonado for Anaheim. I like Pena in the catcher first base spot. Another guy that I think is a really good value play today is Whit Merrifield at $2,900 in the second base spot. He's hitting .384 versus left-handed pitching, and Miguel Gonzalez has not been. He's not going to win the Cy Young Award, that's for sure. He's a guy that 20 to 25, maybe 30 on a really good outing. He doesn't dominate people, and you got a guy who's hitting almost 400 on the year for $2,900 in Whit Merrifield, hitting .384 versus left-handed pitching. I think he's a good value play as well. Some bonus plays on this slate. Hunter Pence, if he's in the lineup and it looks like this could be a spot where he's in the lineup. If you look at his game logs here, over the last week or so, Pence has kind of gone start, pinch hit, start, pinch hit, start, pinch hit. So he pitch hit in this game Wednesday against the Rockies. I've said this before on videos where these teams have analytical departments. We're not the only ones who know Pence is 15 for 38 with 4 home runs and 4 doubles against Corbin. He's a good value spot if he's in the lineup with absolute ownage on Patrick Corbin. Kike Hernandez swinging a good bat right now, destroys left-handed pitching. Jose Abreu, this is more of like a excuse me, a gut play, environment play. I think he's a good play. 2 plays that you can kind of swap this core out with if you like and kind of start to move pieces around as you go into building multiple lineups. Matt Carpenter and Eugenio Suarez. Suarez, again, in that environment. He's swinging a hot bat. Matt Carpenter in a good environment, swinging a hot bat. Carpenter 6 for 12, 2 home runs against Tehran, 11 for 24, 3 home runs in his last 7. Carpenter's got a 50.3 hard contact rate, absolutely destroying the baseball since he's come out of his slump. So there's some ways you can move some pieces around and, kind of move to some different spots. Like I said, a guy that I like tonight is, from a pitching standpoint, to plug in with this core and maybe build a couple of lineups off of it, is Lauer. We take a look at Lauer's game log. Here's the thing with Lauer. Lauer, to me, 12 games, he's 3-4. He's got 4 quality starts, right? But let's look at the game log. 31, 43, 23 at St. Louis. St. Louis smashes the baseball. Miami's just a pest. Cincinnati has, they're Cincinnati. But you can see if we can get 30 points to 35 points, which I don't think is a stretch for Lauer, he's got strikeout upside. And if you look at earned runs, over his last 5 starts, 1, 3, 2, 0, 1, he's not giving up a ton of earned runs recent. He's in good form. 2 quality starts over that time. He just doesn't get the win. I think that this is a spot where we can play an Eric Lauer or a Joe Musgrove, who's about just a little bit more expensive than Lauer, in a good environment for pitching, a big ballpark. We just freed up a whole bunch of cap. We've got $3,400 to round out the rest of our lineup. If we wanted to plug a Pence into that, $2,200 if he's in the lineup, we've got $4,000 to play with. One other play that I will mention at second base is Asdrubal Cabrera. You could also go with like a Cabrera and Wilmer Flores. Wilmer Flores is hot. He's swinging a good bat right now. Plug these 2 guys in here, maybe upgrade a little bit here at pitcher. But there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. So the core, Turner, Anderson, Ozuna, Trout, and Peraza. Good luck tonight, guys. Keep it cash, and we'll see you on the flip side.